Hello, Star Wars fans, and welcome to another episode of the Star Bros podcast. Thank you for joining us tonight. And notice how I started with thank you, because this episode is going to be all about gratitude. We're going to be expressing a lot of gratitude in this episode, aren't we?
Yes.
We're already off to a great start. I am joined as always by my hilarious bro host, Jan Solo.
And I am joined as always by my bro host, Ben Skywalker.
So, can you explain a little bit, maybe better than I can, what we'll be talking about today?
Yes, we've reached the holiday season. This week happens to be Thanksgiving. We just had Life Day, which was terrific.
It was great.
And we wanted to spend some time reflecting on the gratitude that we see in Star Wars, the gratitude that we experience as a result of being Star Wars fans, and just kind of what gratitude means to us in this season.
Yeah, that's much better explained than I explained it. You know, you must be good at this. You've been doing this for a while. Year and a half, maybe?
We've been doing this for 37 episodes.
37. Wow. Yeah. It'll be 50 soon. That'll be exciting when we reach that milestone.
That's going to be a big deal. But
I'm going to make a big deal out of that.
But you were just saying before we put the mics on that we're going to be a little bit slap happy, I think is the term you used.
Yeah, because now I literally showed up like at my house coming home from work at 8:30, and we're like, okay, let's just sit down and record. So we haven't had like much of a transition time. We're just like, all right, time to get started. So
this is us decompressing.
You're gonna get the decompressing version of us, because I was driving like 60 on the road just to try to beat you to my own house, and I ended up losing. So, but I got Chick-fil-A on the way home, so that was good.
Yeah.
So, I'd like to ask how you've been since the last time we've caught up, but you and I actually caught up recently.
We did.
Because we did something fun in the meantime, which we're going to be talking about a little bit, right?
Yes, we are.
So what did we do?
We went to what I think is the first ever Star Wars night at the Philadelphia Flyers.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a hit. It was a really, really well done event.
Aside from the game.
What's that?
Aside from the game.
Aside from the game, where they basically got steamrolled for...
Yes, they did. I mean, the first period only ended up 1-0, but it was with 21 shots on net or something like that.
Yeah.
So you knew it was going to be a long game. The second period was fine, and it ended up being like 3-2 at the end of it, but then the third was abysmal.
Then the wheels came off.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I was impressed. People stuck around.
Yeah.
People did not walk out on the Flyers, which was kind of cool to see, but there were some people around us that I wish would have walked out on the Flyers.
Oh, man. Yes, I did too. And for a little bit more context, we went with my son, Jack, took him to his first Flyers game. He'd been to a Red Wings game before that, but he hadn't been to a Flyers game yet. And it was all because it was Star Wars night, but it was also his birthday the night before. So this was kind of a fun event for us to take him out and have like a boys' night out type thing, and to have it all be centered around Star Wars.
Yeah,
and then
Jess,
we sit down in our seats.
My wife actually said that. She said, tell Jack to enjoy his first boys' night out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
And I'd say he did.
Yeah.
He was great. We'll have to mention what he was searching on my phone later, but that's hilarious. Before you get any weird ideas, he was, what did he search? It was, he's really into weather right now. Mm-hmm. Like it's a big deal for him. Mm-hmm. And for his birthday, he got a lot of weather related things, like a weather clock and a weather radio and
Cool.
stuff. And in this particular case, he was getting a little bit bored of the game, rightfully so, it's long, and he asked for my phone so he could watch some YouTube videos, and he usually is watching a lot of hurricanes and stuff like that, but what did he search?
I don't know if I've got this exactly right, but it was something like, and he's 6, it was something
just turned 7, yes.
Just turned 7, people holding on to things when it's windy.
Basically, it's like the way that he's like trying to explain it, it was... it was just too funny. Like I had to turn it into landscape mode just so that I could take a good screenshot of it. It's people grabbing onto stuff when it is windy. Yeah. And there were actual YouTube results for that.
Oh yeah. I mean, in the screenshot that you sent me, there was at least 3 videos that seemed to match that description perfectly.
Perfectly. So yeah, they are fitting what a 7-year-old wants to watch on YouTube.
And I asked him at one point, I was like, what are you watching? Is that a hurricane? And he was so in the zone. He was like, yep. That's all I got.
That's all you got from him. You're like, oh, okay,
cool.
And he was totally distracted the rest of the game.
Yeah, which was good because, again, the people sitting behind us were using a pretty colorful vocabulary. I guess not colorful for the section that we were in at a Philadelphia Flyers game.
Probably not.
But colorful for a 7-year-old.
Yeah. And what made it... So the first bomb that got dropped, I turned to Jack, and I was like, Jack, you are going to hear a lot of language tonight. Just be prepared. Don't repeat and just ignore it. And he just goes, okay. And he was fine the rest of the game, but I like had to get it out, and they would not stop. They had a kid younger than Jack there.
I know.
And they were just going off, weren't they?
They were.
Oh man.
And I kept thinking they're going to leave. They've got like a baby with them. The Flyers are getting killed.
Yeah, but nope, they stayed around. Again, look, I don't, however you talk or whatever in your house or whatever, do what you want. But at a game in public like that, that's kind of weird.
That's
I
like
don't know.
When you go to certain sporting events, and we'll get back to Star Wars.
This was Star Wars night.
When you go to certain sporting events, sometimes they have this thing up on the screen where one of the athletes or all of the athletes has a disclaimer where they say, especially in Philly, they say, hey, we're in the city of brotherly love. Let's treat the people around us with respect. And I'm like, that's such a basic thing. Does that need to be said? And then like on Saturday night, I'm like, it needs to be said.
It needs to be
over and over again. It needs to be printed out in bold, underlined, capitalized letters.
Because people just don't get it sometimes.
They don't get it.
They just keep running their... Anyway, we could go off forever. But Star Wars night was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. My favorite part was seeing Gritty dressed up as a Jedi.
Gritty dressed up as a Jedi. And there was a funny moment.
With a purple lightsaber?
He did have a lightsaber.
Yeah, but it was like purple, right?
I think it was purple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, he's kind of Mace Windu-y.
And what else? I mean, the whole animation on the ice, the videos that they did before each period, were really well done. I mean, there was some chintzy graphics in them, but that's fine.
Yeah, no, it worked fine. But even when we first came in, there were stormtroopers right after you get through security, and your son got a picture with one of the stormtroopers.
One of the stormtroopers, yeah. And Sabine Wren and Boba Fett were also there. You could take pictures with. Yeah, you had to stand in line for them. We were like, you know what, the game's about to start. We want to go. Yeah, but. There were people in costume, which was really cool.
What did they call that backdrop thing?
Backdrop?
A step and repeat. That's what they had.
What?
A step and repeat. It's when you see like a glamorous say award show, like the Golden Globes or something like that, and there is a wall behind the people that are getting their photos taken, and it just says like the 278th Golden Globes, or however many millions of years they've been doing it, sponsored by PepsiCo or whatever. And it just says that over and over again. And then you step and you pose and they take your pictures and they say, Ben Skywalker, look over here. Ben, over here, sign my kid's head. And then you step and you go down to the next one.
Kid's head. To the next kid's head.
Yeah, it's some other kid. And then Telemundo is there, and they say, Senor Skywalker, please sign my kid's head.
All I thought of was like portmanteau when you said that. I don't know.
Portmanteau. You know what a good portmanteau is?
What's that?
FinTech. Financial technology. FinTech.
That is a good one.
Portmanteau.
Yeah. But that's all I thought of when you said, what'd you call it again? A step behind?
Step and repeat.
Step and repeat? I was like, portmanteau. Not the same thing.
But so they had one of those there.
They did.
I thought it was cool in the beginning. So the way that this opened up, by the way, was because we were like, what are you guys going to do? It's Star Wars night. We're here. A lot of people are in costume. A lot of people are wearing their Star Wars t-shirts. There's a cool like crossover Flyers Millennium Falcon t-shirt that a lot of people had.
Yeah. I wish I would have looked into this more. I wanted to get the tickets to get those t-shirts.
Oh.
That was a special package that you had to get. But I thought that like everybody was going to get one. Like sometimes they do that where it's like the first so many guests that show up are the ones that get it. So that's what I thought it was. But then I found out you had to buy a specific ticket package to get them. And then when later on, after I bought the tickets, I was like, what would it have taken to like get those tickets? And I found out you could only buy them in singles.
Huh.
So I'm like, well, what's the point? Like, so I can get this t-shirt if I come alone? Fine. I'll be a loner and sit by myself with my cool t-shirt.
Yeah.
Huh. Jan, Jack, you can stay at home. or you can sit over in whatever section, and I'll wait from you from far away.
We'll go stand in the $25 seats.
There you go. That's what we could have done.
In air quotes.
I don't think those were in the package.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, but it was a great time. We had a really good time.
Yeah, I appreciated when it opened up. I'll just share quickly that they had this opening animation where it was TIE fighters and Star Destroyers over the Philadelphia skyline.
That was cool.
Recognizable places to anybody who lives in the area, all of a sudden being sort of like the shadow of like a Star Destroyer passing over or whatever. And they projected it on the ice too. And they did some cool interactions with the ice where like there's a projection of the Boston Bruins logo, and Gritty came out with a lightsaber and like hacked away at it, smashed it to bits. The one Gritty thing that I'll share that I thought was really funny was in between periods they do this thing where they call it the Mighty Mites.
Yeah, the little kids that get out there and skate and try to score. And
really shrimpy little kids, like 4 or 5, like little kids, right? Like 4-ish, 5 maybe. Like some of them looked like babies, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
And Gritty at one point comes out on the ice with his lightsaber while they're playing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is Anakin walking into the temple and the younglings, isn't it?
Master Skywalker, there's too many of them. What are we going to do?
And he just
Gritty
brandishes his lightsaber, and I was like, wait, he's kind of sneaking up on them too. This is sort of like ominous. But then like the game just ended and they went their separate ways. But for a second there, I was like, they're taking it too far.
I was so hoping Gritty would just start tackling all the kids, but
he's been known to, allegedly.
And he got sued for it, as we later found out.
They threw that out, but who knows what was happening behind the scenes there to make them throw that out.
Yeah, totally. It was a great time. Honestly, despite the result of the game, it was fun to see all the ways that they incorporated Star Wars into it and see other people celebrating it. And it was funny because then I got back to work and I already knew one of my colleagues that was there, but then somebody else chatted me and said, hey, I was at the game on Saturday night and it was Star Wars night. You should have been there. I went, I was there.
No way.
Yeah. Oh. So, and they weren't that far away from us. They were like section 207. We were in 210.
Cool.
So, yeah, missed that opportunity.
Nice.
Anyway, great time. Let's get to the rest of not just our news, but the first segment of our podcast. News from across the galaxy. I love just seeing what you come up with.
It always ends bad for somebody, jingle.
Somebody. It's that guy in the asteroid field that got,
just spins off into space after colliding with it.
I know you know what I'm talking about. I know some deep Star Wars fans know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
In the asteroid field on Empire Strikes Back.
It's that poor guy over and over again.
Yeah.
Every time
he just
we do the news.
Flies out. Yep. So funny. So what news do we have?
We have a few different interesting things. Maybe you lead with one, and then I have a small bite-sized piece of news that I'll follow with.
Okay, so I think the biggest piece of news that I was excited about this week was the announcement that they have cast Sabine Wren for the Ahsoka series.
Who's playing Sabine Wren?
Her name is Natasha Liu Bordizzo.
I don't know Natasha Liu Bordizzo.
I don't either. I looked up her credentials on IMDb, and it said, you might know her from The Greatest Showman. I went, no, I don't. I don't think I know who she played, but I'll try to go find out and see if I can spot her now. So yeah, she's.
Did you recognize her at all?
No, not at all.
Yeah, I don't think I did either.
But I looked at like the images of her, and I guess I saw a bit of the complexion that they might have seen in casting her. Mm-hmm. Like she resembled her enough, maybe is what they were thinking. I always wonder what goes into some of those casting decisions personally, but like especially when you're trying to cast like Ahsoka coming from an animated character to a live action character, what are you looking for?
And then years later too, and grown up, like you have to be able to defend your decision. Like casting director is usually kind of high up too in the end credits. Like it's an important gig.
It's one of the most important. Like usually they get put on the, they get put on the top because they've got to make some important decisions. I always laugh at the person who, it's always the same person, like Sarah Haley Finn or something, I think from the Marvel movies. And I laugh because I'm like, yeah, she has to cast new people for every movie probably. But the first one, like it's Captain America too. Like, well, your biggest part is taken care of. You're just bringing back Captain America again.
Yeah.
Or like Avengers, it's like, well, we've got all of the guys that are the main characters already cast, so we're good. But I know their jobs are much harder. They have to go find extras and all this stuff too.
I guess.
I guess. I don't know their jobs. I'm just making this up.
I mean, I guess that it is a challenging job, but I mean, it's also not a job that takes place in the real world. So
No.
you are off in La La Land with the movie stars and whatever.
Quite literally La La Land.
Yeah,
Yes.
literally. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was my first piece of news. I'm excited to see her adopted in live action. The only question that remains is, and they probably won't announce this if it's going to happen because they want to leave it a surprise, but Ezra Bridger. You know, the Rebel series ends on the cliffhanger of Ahsoka and Sabine getting together and trying to find
Yep.
Ezra Bridger. And you kind of get that a little bit with Chapter 13 of The Mandalorian when Ahsoka's like, where's Grand Admiral Thrawn? So you see that connection coming, but they haven't announced anything with him. Maybe they're still casting him. Maybe they already have, and they're just trying to keep it a secret. Who knows? But that feels like one of the most apparent missing piece right now.
Yeah.
So that's that piece of news. What do you got?
All right. Tell me if you think this is silly.
Probably.
What are you doing December 3rd?
December 3rd, I actually know is a Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Do you want to go to the Columbia Sportswear store with me to get their new line of, literally, you can look this up. Columbia Sportswear on December 3rd is releasing a line of Boba Fett jackets.
I thought you were about to drop some surprise like, do you want to go to another Star Wars night at the Rangers or something like that?
No, we can go to a local mall.
Okay.
Or an outlet strip mall, one of those things, and we can
Got a lot of those around here.
We do. We can get. Do people go to those? Do people go to malls anymore?
I don't know.
Like I drove by one. I drove by one on the way here, and I was like, who goes to Joanne Fabric? You know?
My wife's in the other room like, me.
Okay. I'm sure there's some people, but it's just like I feel like we used to go to the mall and just walk around.
Yeah. I went to a strip mall or the Philadelphia Premium Outlets.
That's a good one. That's not too far from here, right?
No, it's not too bad. It's probably the same distance, probably halfway between us.
Yeah.
So went there not long ago when I got a couple of stuff.
There's a Columbia Sportswear store there.
All right. Looks like we're going to get our Boba Fett jackets there.
But here's the silly thing is it sort of like, it looks like Boba Fett from the neck up without the helmet. And so if you're good with that as an adult, cosplaying on your way to work or whatever on a snowy afternoon, it's like, go for it.
Well, no, but didn't they look like one of those like more inconspicuous, where you're almost kind of incognito a fan, where like you have to really know the color scheme of Boba Fett to know that this is Boba Fett's jacket. That's how I looked at it. But maybe I think there might be an emblem like the Mandalorian emblem. What am I thinking of?
The
Mythosaur?
Mythosaur.
Yeah.
That's on its shoulder. You're right.
Yeah.
But when I held it up from a few feet away, you could see on my phone, you said, oh, yeah, Boba Fett colors.
Oh, yeah. Like I recognize immediately as a Star Wars fan, but will everybody recognize it? Maybe not.
Maybe not.
That's like my Star Wars cufflinks that I wore today.
Yes. Yeah.
Not everybody recognizes.
I noticed you taking those off. Yeah.
Oh crap! You noticed.
So, that's what I guess what we're doing December 3rd.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. I'm not really in need of a new jacket, but I'll take one.
Yeah, we can donate the old ones.
Sure.
Because 'tis the season.
Or just put it in the back of my closet and hoard them.
Or do that.
That'll be cool though. No, that actually really is cool. And this is all part of the Boba Fett promos that they're doing in preparation for 1 month from now when we get the Book of Boba Fett.
It's almost literally 1 month from now. I think it's 1 month from Monday, Sunday
Yeah,
or
next
Monday.
week. Like the 27th, right?
29th.
29th. That's right. Thank you. Good call.
So that'll be here very, very, very soon.
Before we know it.
Yeah. We only have a couple more episodes before the Book of Boba Fett comes out.
Yeah, so we'll have to figure out how we're going to cover that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Put a pin in that. Focus on it another time.
Pinned.
What
else you got?
Well, I will ask for this next part. If you are Kathleen Kennedy sympathizers or fans, this is for you. But anyone else might want to skip ahead 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever it takes me to cover this. Just recognizing that some people like this and some people don't, and some people really don't care. But Kathleen Kennedy is here to stay for another 3 years. Now, 3 years ago, 2018, is when her last contract was up. It was up for 3 years. A lot of people that followed The Last Jedi, and a lot of people were kind of upset about that because I don't know, whatever. And you think about what's happened in the last 3 years with her, though. Like, she's released The Rise of Skywalker, but then you've got 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. You've got all these spin-off shows that are being created, and next year is going to be a great year as a Star Wars fan if you think about all the series that they're dropping. So she earned it. She earned her contract renewal. She's got another 3 years, and we'll see what she does. I mean, the only real big, challenge that she's faced in that time is what was it? Not the Acolyte, but the Rogue Squadron being delayed. But I don't know. It seems like she's doing a good job to me.
Yeah.
So she earned her contract. She's here for another 3 years, and then we'll figure out where to go from there. So,
dude, she's ushered in the golden era of Star Wars in terms of content.
Let us not forget that.
Yeah, in terms of quantity and quality of content.
Yeah,
we've got more than we've had for most of our lives, and I heard somebody say
that's on my gratitude list. We'll talk about that.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I heard somebody say once that one of the reasons that a lot of times you go see a movie that's based on a book that you like, and you don't like the movie, is because you imagined it a certain way in your head.
Yeah,
and so did the director and the writer and the people who made that movie. And the way that they imagined it in their heads looks a little bit different than the way you imagined it in your head.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the hard part about making books into movies.
Yeah.
It always has been.
And I feel like Star Wars is kind of like that same dynamic where you've got a bunch of fans who are like, that's not how I pictured that going, though. And it's like, well, you didn't make it. If you did,
you don't know Star Wars.
And that's a thing apparently Steven Spielberg is famous for saying.
What's that?
When people give him feedback, like for one example, one of the guys on the on set at Jurassic Park, who I can't remember the actor's name, but he's the one who gets like the spit in his face from like one of the dinosaurs.
Oh yeah.
He was telling Steven Spielberg that when they were shooting that, they would count down. They would say 3, 2, 1.
I remember this. Yeah.
They'd push the button and splash him in the face, and he would like cringe and like blink ahead of time, and it would mess up the effect of the shot, and they'd have to clean his face off and then do it again. And he said to Steven Spielberg, why don't you not count it down, and then I'll genuinely be surprised and you'll get like a genuine reaction. And Spielberg apparently goes, when you make a movie, we'll do it your way.
Well, okay then.
All right.
Just trying to help here.
Yep. And I feel like the Kathleen Kennedy almost needs to say that to some people. Look, when you run Lucasfilm, we can do it your way.
Hey, I made E.T. with Spielberg. I'm good. That's basically what she's saying.
Did she though?
E.T.?
Is that true?
Yeah, she was executive producer with E.T.
Wow.
Pretty sure. Got to double. All right, fine. Make me double check myself.
Basically, what you're telling me is she's not in it for the money anymore.
No, she loves making movies. She loves telling stories. She is and the reason why she was hired and succeeded George Lucas, and the reason why he handpicked her wasn't as much about Star Wars as it was about her production capability, like what she's able to do in terms of making movies and making content.
So cool.
So yeah, she's got a big, lengthy background and tons of movies. She might have been involved with because I know she was doing a lot of Spielberg projects. So she might have been involved with Jurassic Park too. She
might have been on the set saying, "Yeah, when you make a movie, we'll do it your way."
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. Anyway, yeah, so that was that news. Anything else you got?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. So should we talk about or go to our next next piece of this?
Yeah, let's
next segment. Oh yeah, she was the producer on Jurassic Park. I was right.
Wow.
Yeah.
She was there for that.
Let me just double check on E.T. now, and it's going to take me a while because when was that one made?
82?
That sounds about right. Oh, she was even on Hook? You and I talked about that movie. That was the title of our last episode. It was based on that.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the Future.
Wow, I was watching that the other day.
Gremlins, Indiana Jones. Yeah, E.T. There you go.
What year was it?
Actually, E.T. was the first one that she produced.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Blockbuster. Out of the gate. Gigantic, huge blockbuster movie.
Gremlins. I forgot about that one too. Tons of stuff.
Gremlins and Back to the Future shot on the same set.
Blowing my mind.
So that town square, snowy and Gremlins, because Gremlins is a Christmas movie, some people say. And then Back to the Future, where the lightning hits the clock tower.
Yeah.
Remember, that's the same set.
No way.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. And now I do. And I'm forever changed because of it.
Forever changed. All right, let's transition to our next segment. More to the story.
I don't have any sound effects for you.
That's okay. So what's this about? Like, how'd you approach this? What did you reflect upon?
You and I were on our way down to a hockey game a few nights ago. We were talking about a few things that we could discuss as our next topic, and it just dawned on me, like, well, wait, this is going to come out on or around Thanksgiving. Why don't we talk about gratitude?
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about all the things that we're grateful for with Star Wars? And I encourage everyone that's a fan that's listening right now to kind of do the same exercise with us. So I took a different, again, like most of the time, you and I don't really share like how we're going to prepare, but I think we took a very different approach again, each of us. So I made a list of all the things that 5 things that I'm grateful for about Star Wars, and then a separate list of 5 things that I'm grateful for from Star Wars specifically. So I'll go through that. Well, how did you prepare?
I did it so pretty, like, I guess similar enough, but different enough that will probably spark some good conversation. But I did about 3 things that I think are really nice expressions of gratitude within Star Wars that you sort of see on screen and go, oh gosh, that's kind of a nice moment. And then I did a short list of things that I am grateful for personally as a result of Star Wars.
Awesome. That sounds maybe like I think we should start with your first list.
Okay.
If you don't mind. And then we can start trading off on our lists of, well, what do you have as your number one, my number one, and things like that. So
okay.
How about we do that?
Yeah, and I'm not going to present them in any particular order because I didn't rank, same. But I'll start with one, and this is an expression of gratitude in Star Wars. And I kind of went around in circles with this because I was reflecting on it for a little bit. And first I was kind of straining and thinking, like, what's, if we're doing a Thanksgiving episode, like, what obviously kind of lines up with that? And there's not a ton. But
in Star Wars?
In Star Wars. But there are moments where I think there are real expressions of gratitude that are kind of touching in some way. And that's, as cheesy as it sounds, that's kind of what this season is about, is reflecting on, what's most important to you and what you're truly grateful for and so on.
Right.
So there's a couple of different ones, but I'll share my first one. I'd love to get your reaction to it. My first bit of gratitude that I really kind of feel like in my heart when I watch Star Wars is the moment where Anakin, right before he passes away.
Oh, really?
Because I just watched this again before I came over, and Luke says to him, "We have to get you out of here. I have to save you." And
yeah,
you remember what he says? He says, "You already have saved me."
Yeah, that's right. Right after the mask is off. Yeah.
Yeah. Right after the mask is off. Mm-hmm. And that's like a really nice, tender moment of, and he says, go and tell your sister. You already have saved me. Go and tell your sister.
Yeah.
And just completely selfless. And he knows that he's going to pass away. And so, like, one of the most important things he can do before he passes away is say to his son, "You already saved me.
You were right about me." Yeah.
Yeah. You were right about me. There was still good in me. You did that. And, he doesn't say, like, "I'm grateful for," but you can sort of see it and feel it. And it's kind of in between the words.
Yeah. I totally agree. I think one thing that's important to remember is, like, his redemption isn't made, is kind of made in that moment of when he decides to save his son and overthrow the emperor, but it's progressive. Like, there's more that happens before that kind of gets him ready to, to turn back to the good side, right? A lot of it comes down to the way that Palpatine was kind of treating him and eventually was saying, like, "You know what? I'm done with you. I want a new apprentice. I found another shiny new toy."
Yeah.
So, he was already kind of making his way back, and then he did that one last heroic thing, all because Luke didn't give up on him.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I like that.
And by the way, I'm one of those people who's like, I need some convincing that Anakin is fully redeemable.
Yeah.
So after seeing the prequels, I'm like, oh, okay. I don't think you can undo all of that, but that's just like a really nice tender moment, and I can see the real gratitude and the real like love and like the real light side in him in that moment.
Well, and that's where I think the Clone Wars help a lot too. When I watch the Clone Wars, I think of Anakin's story and his slow descent. It's a gradual descent throughout the Clone Wars. And with everything that's already built into his character about him thinking that there's a better way and things like that, like he just goes through so much in the Clone Wars that it just slowly breaks him until he cracks.
Mm-hmm.
So you see a lot more of the behind the scenes of what happens. It's not just he woke up one morning and accidentally made a pretty big mistake in killing Mace Windu and decided, well, I guess I'm dark.
Yeah,
like
I guess
it
I'll
wasn't
just kill
that
sand
sudden.
people and younglings everywhere I go.
Yeah, it wasn't that sudden. It's yeah, that's a good one. We could probably talk forever about that. Maybe we need to do an Anakin specific episode.
I think we
Anakin
do.
Fall.
Yeah.
Anything else? What else is on? Is that a list or is that just one little thing or anything?
I've got a couple other ones.
Yeah, sure.
That I can hit. One that I just always loved when, like, ever since I first saw it, I think. So Han is in Carbonite. They go to Jabba's palace. They get him out of there. They go through a lot. Eventually they get themselves off-world and get away from Tatooine. And there's a moment where Han Solo, again, the guy who's a good guy, who doesn't know that he's a good guy, says something like, I owe you one, to Luke.
Yeah.
And just a simple open expression of like, well, I'd probably still be in there if it wasn't for you guys.
And I think that part of I thought about that one. Yeah, that right there is Han's very rare expression of gratitude.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing. He's like, thanks a lot. Thanks for coming after me. I owe you one now.
Yeah.
I feel like he's thinking about all the times where Han has had to save Luke. Like, you were in trouble at the Death Star. I came in, swooped in, shot out Vader, let you finish the job, take all the credit, right? Like, I saved your skin there. Mm-hmm. Then, on Hoth, you were dying. I had to go out there and find you and cut open this disgusting tauntaun, stuff you in there,
Good
stay
point.
out in the cold and risk life and limb, and, we survived that. You're welcome again.
Yeah.
And so this time around, he repays the favor. Luke does, right? He comes and saves Han. And so he, at the end of that, says, yeah, I owe you one now.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Like, why didn't he just say, like, okay, we're even?
Because that's like, I feel like that's like the smuggler way of doing it.
Yeah.
That's his background saying like, okay, nothing's for free.
Yeah.
So you just got my back, so I have to get yours at some point.
Obligatory Good Place reference coming now. You remember the episode where they go to the post office and they have a bottle of wine and it's got a thank you note written on it. It's like, here's a bottle of wine for thanking me for that time that I thanked you for thanking me for thanking you for thanking me for thanking you. Right. It's kind of like that.
Yep.
It's like they just keep repaying the favor.
It's a little bit of that, but I think the other thing that stands out to me about that one is how important like the friendship and mutual support and all that stuff between not just the core main characters, but like broadly like the Rebel Alliance is in Star Wars.
Yeah.
It really is kind of like this band of brothers, sisters thing where it's a community and you get to see them supporting one another. And that's another thing, a theme that I think we'll probably both come back to at some point. But that's just something that jumps out to me, that Star Wars is, it's a story that's pretty focused on a few people, but it's a big web of people and you get to see them support one another throughout it and express their gratitude. So that's where that one kind of came from.
I like that.
Last one is bittersweet.
Oh gosh, don't do it.
First one was kind of bittersweet.
Yeah, it was. I was like, I thought we were done with that.
But at the end of Rogue One.
Oh, Yeah.
where they pull off the mission
Yeah.
and they are relieved that they were able to pull it off, but it's not a happy ending for them.
Right.
And later on, we learn that many Bothans died.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me was another expression of gratitude for those that maybe you never come face to face with, which I think is a unique type of gratitude that is like a mindfulness practice that some people do. Like some people think about or pray about, for example, thank you for the people who harvested this food that we're about to eat tonight, and for that kind of stuff. And that to me sometimes is like a really good, deep, reflective gratitude where you different from Han and Luke, you don't get to see that person face to face and say like, hey, thanks so much for, saving my butt back there.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of like, wait, I got to take a step back and realize like, gosh, there's a lot that has to happen to make something good for me. And that, from the end of Rogue One to that statement about the many Bothans dying, like that to me is a good kind of gratitude arc of just like a reality check of like, gosh, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the sacrifices of others. And I'm grateful for that.
That's the part I was focusing on and waiting for you to say was the sacrifices of others.
Yeah.
Like that, you're right. Like everybody, there's so many people in Star Wars that have made sacrifices for you to be where you are today. I mean, that's in general just true about life, right? And but they show that, like you said, a few times in these little moments where they're just like, this happened. And like all of Rogue One, we had to create a movie to kind of show what happened.
Yeah.
Because it was that impactful.
Yes.
And I thought it was so well done. You're right. Like it ends tragically, but you wouldn't have been able to save the galaxy without those plans. You wouldn't have been able to destroy the Death Star. Like none of A New Hope would have happened.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to watch that and kind of have like you said, more gratitude for their sacrifices because of that.
Yeah, it's like and like the characters who later on say many died to get us these plans, will never know, or maybe never did know the people who actually did sacrifice their lives.
Yeah,
and I know like down in Langley, Virginia, where the CIA headquarters is, there are little stars in the lobby, and each one of them is representative of somebody who passed away in the line of duty whose name they can't release. Because they were literally a spy.
Oh, really?
And so there's just stars that are dots all over the place. And it's like, those people were trying to do something good and they did not survive. And we're not even allowed to say their name because it could compromise the work that they were doing. And, that's all we can do is kind of lean back and look at all the stars and be grateful.
Wow. Interesting.
Heavy duty.
Very heavy. Wow, that one was bittersweet. I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Well, how about because what's your next list? Is like things from Star Wars you're grateful for, or about Star Wars?
The next list are things that I am personally grateful for as a result of Star Wars.
As a result of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will then start with the things that I'm grateful for from Star Wars because it sounds like our last two lists are very similar.
Okay.
I'll go through that and then you can and then we can kind of go back and forth on our other things.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. Where did that come from?
I don't know. Slap happy.
Slap happy. We warned you.
Yep.
And you're still here.
Here it is.
All right. So
coming in hot.
A few. Here are the few things that I thought about. I'm just moving on. That I thought of as I was grateful about Star Wars that I was grateful for. First one is the quotes.
Oh.
And I just thought about this generally of just all the different quotes that I love from Star Wars. Some of it is like the inspirational ones, like the messages of hope and service, the service of a Jedi, and all of Yoda's wisdom. Like we have a whole episode focused on just that.
That was a good one.
Then we have more funny quotes like Han and his insults and the sand quote. The things that we laugh at and
very meme worthy.
I was gonna say in memes all the time, right?
Yep.
Speaking of which, we had a fun meme that I found this week, and
what's that?
You and I were having a great time in the chat with it, and nobody else thought it was as funny as you and I did.
Oh yeah,
right. So what was the whole? Since we're talking about quotes, right?
I think the gist was something like take your favorite Star Wars quote and replace a word with sausage.
Yeah. So you'd say like, no, I am your sausage.
Yes.
I think my favorite one that I said was Mace Windu going, the sausage will decide your fate, and Palpatine going, I am the sausage. You just gotta love Star Wars fans.
Yep.
They're the best. But yeah, the funny ones are great, or even just the iconic ones, like it's a trap, you know? There are just so many great quotes that run the gamut of those three things: funny, inspirational, iconic. That as I reflect on, I'm like, I love movie quotes. My family does that all the time. Just starts quoting movies, and so I feel like Star Wars is up there in terms of some of the most quotable movies.
Oh, totally. And I think a lot of it is because it has its own voice. Like a lot of the stuff that George Lucas wrote doesn't sound like anything else.
No,
It doesn't sound like anything else you see in the movies or anything else you read.
Yeah.
And all the actors even talk about that. When you watch the old interviews with like Carrie Fisher, and she's just like, how am I supposed to say,
Yeah.
get this bucket of bolts past the blockade? Like,
yeah,
it's all tongue twister stuff.
yeah,
But it becomes instantly recognizable.
yeah.
And I feel like I catch new stuff all the time too.
Oh, same.
So yeah, that's a really good one.
How about like, I am not a committee, just really fun little witty lines like that.
Yeah, right.
You know? So yeah, good quotes in there. Second, music.
Wait, hang on a second.
What? Did I distract you?
What were some of the really good Anakin quotes that we were discussing before from the Phantom Menace?
Anakin quotes. What was that one like? I'll try spinning. That's a good trick.
That's exactly what I was trying to think of.
Yeah. Yeah. See, really like quotes.
Yes.
I can go at this all day.
That's a good trick.
Yeah, that's a good trick.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, yeah. Those are some good ones. Music. That was the other one.
That's a great one.
I'm just so grateful for John Williams
Yes.
and all of his contributions in terms of music. And every movie has something new. There's a new theme. There's a new, way that he's integrated previous themes or something. So, I just listed some of my favorites. The Force theme, the Imperial March, Anakin and Padme's theme. That one was really big to me as a kid. I loved that one. I'll talk about that later. Duel of the Fates, Rey's theme, the Rise of Skywalker trailer, and that arrangement of...
Oh, man. The trailer was phenomenal. The music. Oh, gosh.
Just the trailer, I was like, put that in the movie. They didn't put it in the movie, but I was like, please just put that in there because that was so good. The Mandalorian theme, it's not even John Williams, right? It's our good friend Ludwig Göransson. Did I say his name? Ludwig?
I think it is Ludwig.
Ludwig?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's because he's Dutch, right?
He is Swedish.
Swedish.
Yeah.
Oh, Swedish. You're right.
You can tell by his leather pants and cashmere sweaters and cowboy boots and
I know.
fluorescent orange hats.
I should have picked up on that. Yeah, so
Actually, you know what? We've had a bunch of people listening in Sweden recently, so...
And I apologize for getting his nationality wrong.
No, that's okay. That's all right.
You're
I
saying
shouldn't
it's
accept
okay
the
for them.
apology on behalf of the Swedes. But if you're listening, thank you for listening. I don't know how you found us, but we're glad that
We're glad that you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the music, that was one I wanted to make sure I mentioned. But lightsabers is my next one. Like, and I'll get to something else more unique later too, but I don't know. I just found that I find the concept of putting in lightsabers, and it's fascinating from the first time that you see Luke ignited in A New Hope. Like, it catches your eye and you're looking at like, what is this thing? You're just like Luke. He's just like, what is this? This is so cool. And the audience is doing the exact same thing he's doing. You got me that lightsaber book. And one of the things I love about him is how personal every lightsaber is. Not just the hilt and its design and what it's made of, but even their journey to finding the Kyber crystal on Ewan. Like, that's just a story behind lightsabers, how unique they are to every individual Jedi, and even Sith for that matter, make them really special.
Yeah.
So I threw that one in there as gratitude.
That's a great one. I love the music one especially. I hadn't even really stopped to think about that, but
We have to do a whole music episode, I know, still. But
yeah, it is one of my favorite things about Star Wars, though.
Yeah,
and I just. By the way, if you're ever on Spotify, there's a Star Bros playlist.
There is.
Where we've curated a list of chill Star Wars music, which is really good for studying or sleeping or whatever.
From Star Wars itself, and then other people's arrangements of the music, which I like just as much.
Yeah.
I think you must have added one that was like cello music, or maybe I added it. I can't remember.
I don't know.
But it was like string music, and it was like an arrangement of all these different melodies meshed together. And the other night I was on the way home, and Jack was like, "I'm too tired. Can you turn on some quiet music?" I went, "Okay." And so I turned on our playlist, and that was the first one that came on.
Cool.
So,
Love it.
yeah. Anyway, you went back to music after lightsabers.
Sorry.
You're good. The fourth one I wrote down was just the aesthetic of it. Of Star Wars. I just think of the art itself, like things like the dual suns. Like there's so many things that are just iconic to Star Wars based on just its aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like you know it when you see it. All the different alien species,
Yeah.
right? And the creatures, and I love how it's like old and worn out looking all the time, but then there's always this like new chic design feel to it sometimes too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Star Wars just has that unique aesthetic
Totally.
that can't be replicated.
But is super recognizable when you do something like open up a new theme park, or you do a parody of Star Wars. You can instantly kind of sketch it out, and people know like that visual language. They get it right away.
Yep.
And like the dialogue and the music, it's all part of a package deal where it's totally unique. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah. I'm glad. It's something, again, we need to talk more about.
Yeah.
Like what makes Star Wars look like Star Wars, like the Ralph McQuarrie paintings and stuff.
Yeah, and even his I saw some concept art recently of Darth Vader, like on the Death Star or on a Star Destroyer that looked like pretty different from what we ended up getting, but had like some of the same bones, like had some of the same structure where it was like, oh, I could see how the final cut was like one or two steps away from this.
Yeah.
So I think like since the beginning when they first started sketching this stuff out, you can see like Ralph McQuarrie and other people's fingerprints on the stuff that like we're watching the holiday special right now.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that they sketched out ended up being the bones of what you see in a cartoon that came out in 2020.
Yeah.
Because it's just so iconic and recognizable.
And that's what's really cool about reading these art books. That you got me my first one for The Last Jedi, and then I went out and got Rise of Skywalker and Mandalorian too, just to look at and see how they evolve from. I remember like the Father Years, for example. You see like the first example, they wanted this majestic horse-looking thing, right?
Yeah.
And it starts out one way, but then slowly kind of morphs into what eventually becomes the Father Year, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some really cool ways that you can see like the progression if you read those books. Highly recommend people go out and get those. And that's part of what I thought of, was like as I read those books, I have a deeper appreciation for what it takes to make something look Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know,
Good call.
it's a lot of work. And the final one that I put down was the Force, the concept of it, and the fact that George threw this in there as something. And to me, the reason why I'm grateful for this is because I don't think this whole genre, this whole franchise is the same without it.
Oh no, not at all.
Like you could have all these wars and cool technology and things like that, but the Jedi wouldn't be as cool if they were just, and no offense to them, but like if they were just samurai, or if they were just
the Knights of Ren or whatever, just chopping with cleavers and
so you can fight with a sword or a glowing sword, whichever one it is.
Still really cool.
Which is still great, but you're more than that. There's a capability you have, which the way George creates it, at first you're like, it's this mystical thing that surrounds us all, and it doesn't make sense too much, but he grounds it in reality somehow, enough for people to like get it. And I think a lot of people relate to that on some level, like I don't know, maybe being Christian, like I think some people relate to you know, there being something else out there, some other power being, whatever it is. So you can kind of relate to that already for those purposes. And again, I think it's just really cool how it ends up making the Jedi so much bigger than what they could be without it.
I agree. I think one of the things that's interesting about the Force to me that feels like very real and human is the fact that some of like the precepts of being a Jedi, you kind of have to say to yourself like, okay, this thing is so much bigger than I am that I need to make sure like I rein in my passions. I need to exercise self-control or I'll be overwhelmed by this thing, by this mystical force.
Yeah.
Like I can't just give in to whatever it is I think I can do with this. And so that to me is something that like really strongly characterizes the Jedi and who they are.
And the Sith.
And the Sith. Yep. Is their relationship to themselves and how they have to handle themselves to sort of get in tune with the Force in the ways that they need to use it. But if you didn't have that, they would be completely different types of characters.
Yeah.
Being part of the Jedi Order would be completely different.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the other thing I think is really interesting about the Force that I'm really grateful for in the movies is the idea of Force ghosts.
Yeah.
There's something that I just love about, somebody said to me recently that when you lose somebody, they're still part of your life, but not in the way that you're used to. And there's something comforting about the Force ghosts coming back, and they're not part of your day-to-day life in the way that you're used to, but there they are.
Right.
Providing encouragement, words of wisdom, intervening in some cases for the better. But that's all the Force. That's the Force at work.
Well, that's kind of the relatable side of it. Like people in life relate to that to some degree, and they believe, even though if it's manifested in other ways, or there's different beliefs and interpretations of it. Well, the Force is kind of the same way. Like we talked about the episode with the Sith, and you had the Jedi's interpretation, you have the Sith, and then you have the Night Sisters who tap into it a completely different way, have a completely different relationship with the Force than the Jedi and the Sith.
And then you have the Gray Jedi, and you have as many different interpretations as there are people who are Force sensitive.
Like, and again, that's why I think for anyone that might be religious, almost kind of relates to the Force in that way.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's the motivation behind it, or that's the thing. So, because some, they're atheist and they have no connection to it in that way, but they still, appreciate the Force and appreciate what it's capable of, right?
There are practicing Jedi.
In the world.
Yes.
In our world. Oh, yes, there are. You're right.
There are.
I had to I looked at you blankly and I was like, wait, what? Oh, yeah.
I heard a podcast interview with a guy from Great Britain once who was
yes,
like, this
I
is
know
how I live
about.
my life.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I do day in, day out.
Yep. And they had some...
It's always a British guy.
Why? But it was really interesting too, because he was like trying to boost the credibility of his religion, and like people were mocking him. Like, what are you talking about? You're basing this off of a movie,
and then
of a fantasy.
And then
movie.
He's like, "Look, these are the things I'm trying to do. Tell me where I'm going to harm society."
Yeah, that's where I think people just lost it. Like, this is okay. So he wants to call it religion. He wants to believe in it, like it actually is real or something like that. But he's just defining it differently than something you defined as something else. So, and then at the end of the day, he's still trying to do service. Mm-hmm. And live a serviceable life. Like, come on.
That's kind of cool.
Good. Yeah.
Speaking of British people who do crazy things.
Oh, gosh.
I saw a documentary I've been trying to find again recently about a guy named David Gorman. And the reason that this is important is because he's some British dude who tried to go find all the other people he could who were also named David Gorman. And when he traveling around Britain, when he struck out, he just tried to find people who'd be willing to change their name to David Gorman. And a bunch of people did.
What?
Yes.
No.
Including like a few women were like, okay.
And then what? He like created a church around it? Like,
no.
Oh no, his MO was to find people named after him, and he couldn't find them. So, oh my gosh.
And then he'd be like, so you're Dave Gorman too. What's your life like? Completely different. Wow, what are the odds?
That I can never unhear it. That's crazy. Yeah. I'll never forget that.
David Gorman. All right, moving on.
Interesting point. How about we get to the last bits of our gratitude?
Yeah.
So the other things about Star Wars. Why don't you start?
Yeah, I'll hit you with a couple. Let me pull up my notes here. And the first one that I can recall from memory, which is a really simple one, which you might also share in. is just the Star Wars community.
Yeah. I've got something. I'll get to that one next. Yep.
And look, Twitter's not a perfect place. There's a lot of funny stuff out there that we're not into.
There's memes.
But there's a lot of funny stuff that we are into, and there's a lot of good stuff about connecting with other people who have the same interests that you do and are passionate and excited about the same topic.
Yep.
And thanks to the miracle of social media today, and thanks to the fact that there's so much new Star Wars content out there in the world, there's plenty for us to be talking about as a fan community. Love seeing the comments on our YouTube videos from our friends like Publicly Shamed and other people. Love getting tweets, and love, even though it's usually like just sort of like silly stuff going back and forth, sometimes there are some really good conversations that are sparked on social media through the fan community. For example, one that I saw this week that got a lot of us talking was about how, you remember in The Mandalorian when little Din Djarin is like hiding in that little cubby when stuff is just blowing up all around him, and then the hands reach down and lift him out. He's wearing a red robe.
Yeah.
So somebody I wish I knew who it was because they deserve credit for this because this is not my idea. Somebody said like, "Hey, was this a Life Day celebration?"
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, let's talk about that, right? Like, that's the type of thing that the community can give to one another, are these fan theories and these observations and whatever. I just love that. That's a lot of fun.
It was because of the design on the red vest that he was wearing.
Yeah.
The design was related to a Life Day design. Was that the connection that was made to then deduce that it was potentially a Life Day celebration that they were interrupting?
I don't know about that actual design. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
Because of the red robe.
Because of the red robe.
Yes.
Okay. That makes more sense.
The guy pointed out that what they had used on the set for that design on the front of the robe was actually from a knee brace. And
okay,
I've seen a woman in my gym who has a knee brace like that. It's sort of like spider webby.
Yeah.
And it's got like an interesting look to it. And I guess
That's
they
cool.
just like unpeeled that and stuck that to the front. But yeah, what if that was a Life Day celebration?
Yeah.
That ended up getting attacked by these droids and whatever else. Like, that's a cool fan theory that came from the community.
Yeah, I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
I actually had a similar number on mine. And it was more specifically like the relationships that you can build from it. And I just thought of like the personal relationships I have, like my brother Jerome, who is
Jerome.
Jerome, that's how you pronounce it. No, my brother Jacob, now everybody knows his name. Who like this, it's a big piece of our relationship,
Yeah.
or even just like my wife and all the support she gives for that. Gosh, like just us, like bonding over this and the Broaxium bros with Dan and Chris and Tommy and Mike, like just broke, those people, my dad, like introducing it to me.
Yeah.
Dan Z and like going on his podcast and participating in that on the Facebook Live that he does. So like just the relationships that it's helped me build at least. And you mentioned the online community, like it goes further than that. The insights that they provide, like, yeah, that's something I think a lot of people are grateful for. Like it's brought a lot of people together and created a strong community.
Yeah. And someday we'll get to Star Wars Celebration and we'll get to feel that in person. It
Yeah.
must be awesome.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
And just feel like you found your people,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I would get some of that vibe someday when I get to go to Galaxy's Edge finally, but I feel like I'll really feel it at a Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah. I agree with that. What's next on your list?
Next on my list, I had comic books,
Oh, interesting.
actually.
Cool.
So I got to thank Chris and the Broaxium guys for getting me back into comic books for the first time, I think, since I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And we have been covering for, gosh, a little while now. For
Almost a year.
Almost a year. We've been covering the High Republic comics as the Star Bros on the Broaxium channel. And we've been doing our quick shot previews of those as they come out.
Yeah.
And I used to read comics when I was a kid. I mostly read I was really into Spider-Man. That was my thing, Spider-Man and Venom.
Yeah.
I don't even really remember, like, I think I had like one Star Wars comic, but I don't really remember that being a thing. But this has kind of gotten me back into it. And that's like a whole nother layer, like a whole nother world of the fandom that uh, I've got a lot of catching up to do on. But I also feel like with the High Republic stuff, like we're on top of that. Like as the issues drop, like we're reading them and talking about them every week, and that's been a lot of fun
Yeah.
because it's like a whole other part of the fan community that you get to connect with. And Chris, our bro host Chris Ryans likes to say, it's the connective tissue of the Star Wars universe,
Yep.
and it really is. So I'm really grateful for getting back into comic books and enjoying the comic books that have been coming out.
I was thinking of that quote from Chris as soon as he said that. I was like, he's jumping out of his seat. He's like, I converted one.
Yeah.
Like finally found like people who are listening to me that these stories are enlightening and kind of help increase your knowledge of the story of what happens in Star Wars. Like, don't just base it all on the movies. And I think I've appreciated that more and learned to do that more because of him.
Yeah.
So
and I got the feels like this past week when the IDW High Republic Adventures?
yeah, the IDW one,
Yeah, with Court and his mask and stuff. Like, if you haven't watched that particular quick shot, go back and watch it because there was a few different really good issues that we covered. There's a Dr. Aphra.
Yeah.
I think you had one in there. I don't know.
I did the Temple Peak one. Yep.
Yes. But
Monster of Temple Peak.
Like I've come to appreciate how deep the storytelling can be in comic book format.
And all right, so we'll get to one of my next ones, which is going to get into this a little bit. But it's the fact that a lot of different storytellers are able to come into it.
That's
right?
a good one.
You've got Daniel Jose Older that did the story you just mentioned, the IDW series. You got Kevin Scott and Charles Soule, right?
Doctor
Justine Ireland, right? You've got all these Doctor, all these different collaborators coming together to create these stories, and then the movies, and you've got Ryan Johnson and J.J. Abrams, Doctor Abrams, who grew up with this and now finally get to tell stories in it and like that's so. This is where my next gratitude comes in, and it was Disney buying Star Wars. Ushering in
controversial.
I know it's controversial, but ushering in the golden age, I guess, and I'm going all over the place with some of these stories, but I remember when my wife got me the Blu-ray set for Star Wars, like all 6 movies on Blu-ray, and it was so cool. And we were poor in college, and she still like made that happen. And I remember getting it and going, wow, is this it though? Is this all that we'll ever get? Like, it'll just be this series. Oh, man. And I was grateful for what I had, but I just knew that George Lucas couldn't keep it going. And the day that Disney bought Star Wars, it was like, we're going to get more. Awesome. I felt like so excited that more was coming.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel even today still, almost a decade after they bought it. Right? It's been almost a decade, if you can believe that.
Yeah.
So yeah, like one of the things I was grateful for was the fact that I kind of like that they hit the reset button a bit. I know that's also controversial, but part of the reason that I did was because I felt behind enough. So I felt like I had the chance to start over and learn all these different stories that have come out since. I do appreciate everything that came before and want to continue learning. And I appreciate what I like, the books that I did read or the video games I did play. But it is kind of nice to know, like, I can just start. I don't have to go all the way back to the 90s and read all those books again if I don't have to.
Right.
Like, I'll start with the comics.
Yeah.
And I'm building up my collection slowly of the comics of
You're
today.
doing a good job. Yeah.
So, I do personally feel gratitude for that because, again, controversial, I know, but it's gotten new creators and more creators in the Star Wars party. And personally, like for us, like we've got a lot of good memories because of that, because we've gone to all the movies together.
Yeah.
So, controversial, I know, but I had to throw that out there.
Yeah. And I can't argue with that. Like I feel like Star Wars is in really good hands with Disney now. And when I think that news first broke, it took me a bit to process it and try to figure out like, all right, what are they going to do with this? And, like the whole thing you're talking about what's canon, what's legends,
Yeah.
etc.
I was just wondering about what is George Lucas going to do with $4 billion.
He'll figure it out.
He'll be fine.
Yeah, he's going to be okay. But no, I think it's in good hands. And like we said earlier, we're kind of living in this golden era where we're getting to enjoy so much new stuff. So I can't complain one bit.
Yeah.
All right, I'll share my last one.
Okay.
My last one is I'm grateful for the Star Bros.
Oh,
Cheesy.
that's so cool.
I know. But this has just been a lot of fun. We're 37 episodes in.
Yeah.
We had a podcast that started during the pandemic. I know that many did and didn't necessarily survive, but here we are. And it's still fun. And we're still coming up with new stuff to talk about. And it's just been a real pleasure. And it's an escape in some ways. Because, again, started during the pandemic. World's going crazy. But we had this anchor, and we were able to go back to Star Wars and just have these conversations that you and I had in private behind closed doors at work on breaks. But now, we're putting a lot of care into trying to make it something that other people can enjoy too.
Yeah, totally. I think you said it well when you're like, this podcast ended up helping us in a lot of ways just to make sure we didn't go crazy.
Made us rich too.
Oh yeah, I mean filthy rich.
Don't knock it until you've tried it.
What?
I said, don't knock it until you've tried it. It's fantastic being this wealthy.
I mean, how else would we have each bought new houses in the same year?
Yep. Sweet podcast money.
Yeah, I feel like we always got to have the disclaimer after that. Be like, "P.S. We didn't get rich off this."
Yeah, we have made no money. This has cost us money.
It's cost us, but in a great way because we've made
labor of love way.
Yeah, we've bought new friends. Is how I think of it. I lost you on that one. Good.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I don't know if I don't want to get into any more of mine because that's a great one to end on. But if you don't mind, I'm just gonna throw in because I did scatter a few of these in there, so I'm gonna throw in one more.
Okay.
And to me, I guess I was always like I guess I'm always envious that I didn't get to grow up in the golden or the original trilogy era, but I am grateful I grew up in the prequel trilogy era.
Yeah.
And got the chance to go to all those all the movies as they were being released. Like Attack of the Clones was one of the biggest ones for me because I was in a very moldable place in life. I was really big into classical music and playing in school and the band and stuff like that. And so I got really into the music of Attack of the Clones. So
cool.
It has some standout memories because of that, or just like going to the movies with my friends. And so yeah, like it to me just resembles my childhood a bit more, the prequel trilogy, and that so it brings a lot of good memories back from that, like going with my friends and pod racing, right? Like falling in love with pod racing. That was the best. And it also helped to be part of that era growing up with it because there were a lot of people that didn't like it, but I was able to ignore all that.
Yeah.
Almost be insulated for years from that.
Well, that's like right now. Like I heard somebody say when Rise of Skywalker was coming out and people were just like kind of moaning and groaning about it. And somebody said, maybe you grew up with the original trilogy. Maybe you grew up with the prequels. Or maybe you're one of these people who's growing up with these movies now, with the sequel trilogy. Yeah. And let them enjoy that.
Let it be.
And let them enjoy the Lego movies and let them enjoy all the other new Star Wars content that's coming out. Because there are people who are kids right now who, like you said, I forget what the term was. You said that you were a moldy youth?
Like moldable, yeah.
Moldy, right.
Moldy? No, you really just wanted to call me moldy. Probably.
So there are some moldable kids out there right now who are, like right now we've got one of the Lego things on and they're seeing Jawas for the first time. And maybe it's not the original trilogy Jawas, but maybe it's capturing their imagination and they're having they're getting the same feel that you did when you were a kid, which is a special thing.
Well, that's a good point to make. And that gets back to the aesthetic. And one of the things that the aesthetic will always do, as long as you stay true to it, is it'll no matter how the Jawas are presented, they will capture any person's imagination. So whether you're introduced to them in the Legos, whether it's season 1 of The Mandalorian, episode 2, where the Jawas come in and then they charge the Mandalorian to go get the eggs, like that.
Yeah.
Wherever it is, like, Jawas will capture your imagination. Even if New Hope is where you start too. Like,
Yeah.
it's the Jawas that do it. It's not it's not where they're presented.
Yeah.
That matters. So that's why it's important to stick to that aesthetic. And so far, I think they've done a great job of doing that.
They've done a great job, and it's just going to keep capturing kids' imaginations. And then, they're going to look back on The Mandalorian fondly, or whatever it is that was like their introduction.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, totally. I'm feeling pretty grateful right now. How are you feeling?
I'm gratitude-y.
Are you gratitude out?
No, I think I'm going to keep piling it on this week. I mean, we're going to do our gratitudes at the Thanksgiving table. I don't know if you guys do that.
Not necessarily, but
I try to do it, and sometimes mixed reception. But I think it's kind of a nice thing to do. But like, and just to say I'm grateful for you guys being here, or whatever. So I'm going to keep adding to the gratitude that I'm feeling in this episode.
Well, I'll add to it by saying to all of our listeners, to all of those that are sticking with us and have given us time to be a voice over their radios or wherever you decide, your headphones. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for participating in this with us. Thank you for engaging with us online through email or Facebook, Twitter, wherever it is that we've found you. We're grateful you're here. We're grateful that you've stayed with us, or we're grateful that you even gave us a try if this is your first one. And if this is, hopefully we did not disappoint. But if
this is your last one, cool. We wish you well.
We wish you well. Well, if it is their last one, they might not have made it this far. No, we're very self-deprecating, aren't we? But no, we you're just nodding like, yeah, a little. But no, we are grateful and want to make sure that is very clear. If you want to keep engaging with us, you can always do it on Facebook. You can find us at the Star Bros Podcast. You can email us at thestarbrospodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter. What is our handle there? Just Star Bros Podcast?
At Star Bros Podcast.
At Star Bros Podcast. Yep. See? Thank you. And I think I covered it all.
I think that's it. I couldn't have said it any better.
So, is there anything else that that you want to say? Any parting words you have?
Just thank you, everybody.
Okay. And on that note,
is there something else?
I will wrap it up.
You're going to wrap it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will wrap it up. You ready for me to wrap it up?
I guess I'm ready for you to wrap it up.
Okay, I'll wrap it up now. It's a wrap!
This is the anticipation.